Hey guys, it is time for the long-awaited Twisted Tale ranking part 2. And for those of you who are new here and need an introduction, hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. I'm sorry, wrong script. My name is Hala. I'm an author, illustrator, Disney fan, and future X-Men, and I've been reading these Twisted Tales for several years. When the first 10 had come out, I did an initial ranking, which I'll talk about briefly, and I have been on a quest to reread those and read all of the new ones to create a new updated ranking for you with the now released 19 books. With that being said, let's jump back into this ranking video. We've got a lot of books here, and I honestly am a little terrified to rank them, but if during the ranking you guys do have any questions in regards to my thoughts on that, you can leave it in the comments, or you can check out the myriad of reviews that are on my playlist. So let's try to rank these lovely, lovely books one by one. And starting off, this is a general ranking, by the way. It's not which was the best villain, which had the best heroine. This ranking is basically which one did I vibe with most. And when we're all done, we're gonna see if that lines up with the initial 10 that I had in the first video. So, am I stalling a little bit? This is a tough one. I think we're just gonna have to dive into it, to be honest. So, Whole New World. Love Jafar in this book. Like, I'm still pretty sure he is the most diabolical, most sinister villain of all of them. But did I enjoy Aladdin and Jasmine's POV as much? I don't know. Once Upon a Dream, Sleeping Beauty, one of my favorite Disney movies. I love the fairies, I love the prince, I love Aurora, and it's a solid movie. The book definitely had some twists with Maleficent putting Aurora in her dreams and essentially manipulating her there. But Maleficent also did some things that were kind of like, ooh, she went there. And I think I did enjoy it maybe a bit more than Whole New World. Jafar's still the better villain overall. By better, I mean the worst. But this is going to get really heavy real quick, but I need to make some room on the table. Alrighty. I'm just going to keep going with what's on top. As Old as Time, such a good book. It's got that little bit of mystery to it. It does have dark elements. While it did kind of jar me at first to like jump between present and past storylines because I just wanted to read one of them because they were both very interesting. I think that was the problem is you cut me off as we were getting to something and we went back in time or we went forward but both stories were good and I really, really did enjoy both. So I can tell you this is up there. This one is up there. And that brings us to reflection. I enjoyed it, but it's still a very neutral enjoy, and I think a large part of that is this would have been better animated because of all the visual, there's a lot of visual interest going on, and I don't feel like I connected to it as well reading it. And I'm just gonna say I have had a lot of Asian mythology present in my life since high school. Being into anime, going to Japan for 4 years. So I may just kind of be neutral. like it doesn't necessarily impress me anymore because I've seen so much of it. But I think it should have been visual. However, where do I put you? Definitely above Whole New World. I'm trying not to let the fact that Once Upon a Dream's audiobook was narrated by a guy and I didn't like his voice for this book. For now, I'm going to put it there. And I already know Q is going to come after me. But she loves reflection and I'm just okay on it. I don't know, remember, I think Part of Your World was next in the release. Not that I'm trying to go by release, but that's what's on top. Part of Your World was also really, really good. I loved the fact that we went forward in time. We had real consequences, like Ariel was mute because Ursula still had her voice and everything. And I also enjoy the fact that while she and Eric still had feelings for each other, they kind of also acknowledged that you can't, like, they didn't really have a relationship. So, oh, some of my good ones are coming up early. Ugh. But did I like it more than Beauty and the Beast? Did I like it more than Beauty and the Beast? I don't know. These two are pretty close. Again, I'm just going to keep it here for the moment, as I feel like that's what I want. But also we had Jonah. Is that what her name was? Jonah? The little Scuttle's little niece. This is the only one that had talking animals, I think. Like, that weren't animal characters. Ooh. I really liked the yeah, no. Okay, we're gonna stick with that for now. Conceal, don't feel. If the movie hadn't been a thing, this would have been great, and I only say that because I loved the first half or so of the book when we get into the twist, which is Anna and Elsa never knew each other, so they were like separated from childhood. So we had Anna with a whole new background. Elsa, we just got a little bit more of her background. It was pretty similar to the movie. And I kind of liked that new dynamic and personality growth for Anna, but the ending was a cookie cutter from the movie. Like, you could see what was going on with Hans and everything turned out the same. And for me, it just didn't do enough because it was the same ending as the movie. So, sad face, but you're going at the bottom for now. Here we are. Mirror, Mirror. This is another one. So Jen Kalanita did both Conceal, Don't Feel and Mirror, Mirror, and unfortunately, she is my weakest author in the group. Just, like, she has good, strong points, but overall the stories just didn't do it for me. And a large part of that is, like, in this book, Mirror, Mirror, the evil queen's, like, history, giving her a whole backstory and all that, great. Snow White's POV, hated it. Just didn't like the way her voice sounded. And this is not even an audiobook, like, this is physically reading it, just like her. I didn't believe her. And of course I have the influence of Snow White as well in my brain. I just don't believe that she would have stepped up to rebel against the queen that way with the dwarves. I just don't. This one actually, I think I would put a little bit under there just because the queen did not save the story, unfortunately. These are good ones coming up. Oh no. Straight On Till Morning was such an enjoyable, not just story, particularly like a female friendship story. The first time I read it, I expected more Peter Pan, didn't get it, and was disappointed. Second time rereading it, knowing that it wasn't Peter Wendy, it was Peter Tink, I enjoyed it more. I loved the ending scene. I don't want to spoil that if you guys haven't read it, but I loved particularly the epilogue. I feel like it could have done more things, and there were a lot of points that were interesting, but it did feel more like a long quest rather than a fully, like, you could have developed it maybe stronger and had some more of the fairies, but did enjoy the ending a lot. So that one I'm putting there. Yes, I think we'll put that there. All these books were pretty good. Even my least favorite book, by the way, like, is still a good book. It's just, how do I rank them? So This Is Love, if you're looking for a romance. So This Is Love is probably the most romantic, or like strongest presence of a romance storyline, because we still have Cinderella and the prince. They actually get to talk to each other, which is nice, because like in the movie, you know, they meet twice and then they're married, right? No, we actually get conversations and they get to know each other, and I think that was really great. Like, I do enjoy Elizabeth Lim's writing, and I think this one I just enjoyed more than Reflection because she did lean a little bit more into the romance, and I really enjoyed that part. But even though I'm not a romance reader, BT dubs, romantically it was very, very good. there could have been a lot more in the story, but I also think adding too much more, like with the struggles in the kingdoms, would have started to get a bit heavy for the series vibes. So I get it, but I did want to see more. It was really good. It's a really like cozy, like easy read. So if it was a reread, I would definitely just pick it up and enjoy it. But I also didn't like that they're put the POV in of the Duke, who is the bad guy in this one. And I don't like having the villain POVs when they tell me what they're gonna do, because it's not a surprise anymore. I don't like villain POVs. It usually ruins it for me. So you're unfortunately a bit under there. I would actually probably read it again before I would read Reflection though. So here's what we're looking like so far. How many books is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10! On birthday. Didn't quite get into it the first time I read it, but on the reread, like actually physically reading it rather than doing the audiobook, the political bits, like, because there's some politics in here because it's England, definitely some prejudice going on. Those parts didn't feel as long and uninteresting as they did in the audiobook, and I think it was just because I was paying attention and getting some more of the sub lines in it. But also Alice and cats. So cute. We love cats. He is like the Cheshire Cat alternative, and it's not hard to figure out, so that's not really a spoiler, but I wish there was more of them because their romance is so cute, and it's a slow burn, and it's just adorable. I just wish there was more. But the story was fun overall. Going back to Wonderland, like a lot of interesting bits, a lot of play on words, which is why I recommend physically reading it rather than audiobook. But I just wish there was more Alice and cats. More Alice, more cats. But it's still up there in the ranking. So these are 10. There's only 9 more to go because I don't have number 20. But I'm gonna move you so you don't fall and get another chunky chunk out of the way. What Once Was Mine. If you've read most of this series and you have not read this one yet, it is a bit different. It feels a bit different in the read because we do have not a fourth wall break, but almost, not necessarily with us, but with the characters in the story, because part of the story is in like present day, where a brother is telling his sister his version of Rapunzel while she is sick. And I thought that was very endearing. It was a nice touch to make the story different. A story can go on without it, yet it does add a different element to it. But it was good. It was good. We kind of got a different villain than Mother Gothel, and then Mother Gothel really didn't do anything, so I do have mixed feelings on that. It was a different little twist, and I appreciate it for actually being a different type of twist. Plus the story also being different as well, and Rapunzel herself, her character growth and development with her magic, loved it. Would have also liked to see more of her magic, so I think we go here. This is where we're at. The stack's getting big. Stack's getting too big to hold. We're just gonna just yeet you over there. Very slow yeet. It was more of a yay. I guess you've been sticking out. So we're gonna grab Fate Be Changed. We're no longer going in order of release, just so you know. This one came out earlier this year. It came out in April, I believe. I was so looking forward to it because I also read Bravely, which is not a twisted tale, but it is what is on my book? What is sticky and it's on my book. I was looking forward to it. I think this one maybe I got hyped up on because not only was I like close to finishing my reread, that I was going to be able to read a new release relatively close to release, but it's Brave and I love Brave. This wasn't the story that I expected. So Merida goes back in time to essentially when her parents met and fell in love. And because of her being back there, it kind of sets things off on a different track, and she has to make sure her parents get back together, right? This didn't feel like Merida's story. It felt like their story because I was enjoying their banter, their growth into romance, whereas with Merida, I kept being like, are you turning into a bear or not? So I feel like it had the potential, it just didn't go all the way that it could have, and it was a little bit, it felt a little bit predictable because I didn't get the sense that her parents weren't going to get together. There was never such a dire, like, distraction that made me concerned that Merida might fail this mission. So the stakes didn't quite hit me. I wanted more out of it. I think we're going down here. Down here. Give me your books, please. I'm going to pop it right down there. Which for some of these, if you've watched my reviews, I was on that high of just finishing them and I was like, this was such a good book. And then having it seep in and stew upon my brain for months for some of them. Yeah. There could have been more. There could have been so much more. So, since we're talking about Farah Rashan, sort of, kind of, we're also going to talk about Almost There, because she also wrote that. This was her first jump into the Twisted Tales family. This was a pretty decent book from what I remember. I do remember thinking that the pacing was off, and I would have loved to have seen, especially because it's early on, she essentially makes the deal with Dr. Facilier to get her dad back. And I would have loved to have seen her actually spending more time with her dad instead of jumping to the next Mardi Gras when it was kind of like her deal time limit and she had to figure out how to like stop Facilier and out trick him and everything. Her romance with Naveen was really nice because that also felt built up a little bit more of a slow burn because they had different situations, but there was no Louie, no Ray Ray. Like, y'all, we love the little animal critters in these Disney movies for a reason. But she did good. Like, Tiana herself was a pretty strong character, so I did enjoy that. There was just things that I was missing, and again, the pacing I think felt a little bit off, but you did pretty dang good. You did good. You did good. I would probably read it before I read Straight On Till Morning again. Maybe. I think so. I think she's sitting right there, comfy in the middle. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. We're getting close, guys. We are getting down to the last 6. Is As Old as Time gonna maintain the top spot? Maybe. Maybe. When You Wish Upon a Star. So Pinocchio story, but it's all about the blue fairy. This was probably one of the earlier, I think this was like number 11 or 12 that came out, where I was like, oh, it's Pinocchio, but it's not him. It's like a female from his universe. And I think that's when I realized we're going to have all female leads in these books. The Blue Fairy's story is, for me, the strongest before she becomes the Blue Fairy and does stuff with Pinocchio. Because she has some drama with her sister, and her sister's a really developed character. Well, I'm going to say that softly, as a developed character, because I liked her track of like trying to be a like opera singer, and then also meeting Geppetto. Like certain things, they were cute. I enjoyed them. And then when we got to the part of facing our antagonist and dealing with Monstro and helping Pinocchio, I did like that we got to see the backside of those stories. Just kind of missed a little bit on the fairy and the struggle. I guess the fairy struggle. I think I was missing a little bit from that, but it was still a very strong book. It was actually one I really enjoyed. My heart is telling me that it's going up here. But I only read it the one time because this was a relatively new release when I read it, and then I continued the reread. So a second read might reflect different things, but right now, she's sitting comfy up here. Like, if I'm going to read a book and be cozy and cute, it's going to be that one. Which, should I be saying for the Twisted Tales? I feel like I shouldn't. I feel like I shouldn't if I'm going to read a dark book. And he's way down there. But that one's pretty dark. Like, this one does so far satisfy dark elements, satisfying story elements, and that ooh moment. This book, however, Go the Distance. Though it has Hades on it. Hades was like very small, like a small part in this book. It's Meg. It's not Hercules. It's all about Meg. So again, another, I guess maybe this was the one before Waiting Wish Upon a Star that I was like, but I wanted Hercules. Meg essentially is sent on a quest to earn her godship so she can be with Herc up in Mount Olympus. It was okay for me. It was just another sort of trial quest line story, but the part that irritated me the most was that everybody was given a nickname of 3 letters, because it was, instead of Megar, it was Meg, and that one we're aware of, right? But never in my wildest mind would I have called Pegasus Peg or Persephone Per. Sorry, but that does strongly affect my reading experience. Oh my gosh, just shoot. I need to get down to the bottom. I'm sorry. But this is how I feel about your nicknames. And I think actually I would probably read that before that. Yeah. I feel like that is, which people are probably going to be mad about me putting Whole New World at my bottom, but I just really did not, and I just didn't vibe with Aladdin and Jasmine's story, and I wanted more Aladdin, but you can look at my review. It's fine. But Jafar's still up there. I have not forgotten you, Jafar. Is this stack even in frame anymore? It's almost as tall as me, so it should be. Our last hardcover is Sally's Lament, which just came out this past October 2024. Very, very appropriate for the season, because you've got your little, I think you have more Christmas vibes than Halloween, because Sally does spend most of the book in Christmas Town, and this probably is the book that made me realize I enjoyed the Christmas season more than Halloween. Didn't know that was a thing more. But anywho, this book, very, very cozy. Are there twists? Yes. Are they heart-throbbing danger? Not really. It felt like an ABC Family Christmas movie meets Nightmare Before Christmas meets Island of Misfit Toys. If you know, you know. So it was really cozy. It was a nice read, but I still feel relatively neutral on, if I were to pick up the book again. Is it because it's a recent read? Maybe. But there weren't, those really, heart-seizing moments where I'm I want to reread that moment and feel that. Who else? So we're kind of filling up this spot here. I don't know if I liked it more or less. I mean, there was a little bit I think it's going here. It was pretty good. It was more or less what I expected as well, which I think satisfies that kind of craving. Ooh, please don't fall. So I put her there. Now, these last 3 books are all in paperback. And they're not released in the US at this time. But let's pick up them in the order that I read them. Set in Stone is Sword in the Stone, but we are after the events of the movie, and Arthur is king, so he's learning how to be king. Merlin is missing, because Merlin still has not come back from the future. But we do get a nice addition of Guinevere, and Madame Mim coming in to mix up some chaos. It's near the end of the movie, when he goes off in the future, and he doesn't make it back yet. Which is also Madame Mim's fault. And while I really enjoyed having this book, I did have some issues with Guinevere. Did they just call her Gwen, or did they call her GUI? I don't know. I just remember as soon as we started nicknaming people, I was like, ooh. I liked the romance. I liked bits of it, but it felt too old for their age. Like, even if you want to argue medieval times, everything happened a little sooner. They did not feel like 13, 14-year-olds, which they should have been. That's a little off-putting. And then Guinevere, I feel like her story did outshine Arthur's a little bit, which makes me sad because I think he actually had a pretty good story going. But I did love Bermuda Merlin. We did love some Bermuda Merlin. However, I have romantic issues with this book. Oh. Sha-na-na-na-na. Sha-na-na-na-na. Yep, it goes here. It goes here. Oh. This book is... Can we do 2 piles? Is it precarious? Absolutely. Are we still going to stack 2 more books? We are. Next, I read Suddenly Super. This one is also by Jen Kalanita, but I'm going to start off by saying Jen did good. Of all of her other Twisted Tale books, this one I felt was really, really strong for her. It's set in modern day, and it's a teenage girl, and the language made sense to me. The events made sense. The pacing made decent sense. Like, I feel like there could have been more time spent with the training, but I think we did get at least a week in the story. And I was just really happy with this. Like, I binge read this book. I inhaled it. It made me happy. This could have been a good addition to Incredibles. Like, I still want the next Incredibles to be about the kids. And this kind of gave me a little taste of that. So this is definitely up there. And see, this is the one that I'm like, I know I liked it, but would I like it in a reread? I guess we'll find out later. Maybe. We'll see. But I do think we're going to pop Suddenly Super up here. So you did good, Jen. I like it. I liked it a lot. I really did enjoy it. And lastly, we come to Princess of Thieves. So this review just came out a couple weeks ago if you guys haven't seen it yet. And this one is a Robin Hood retelling with Maid Marian as Robin Hood, like she is the outlaw. I felt like the character developments and her as the outlaw made sense. There are definitely a few story points where I'm like, but why? But how? But it was a cozy read. And I know I've been saying that book a lot. It's because the Twisted Tale series so far has gone from moderately dark to cozy. And I have mixed feelings on that just because it's like a Twisted Tales. And the way they do the covers makes you think it should be something darker. But they haven't been edging very close to the dark side. They're still just eating their cookies and having some tea. This one, while I enjoyed the reading of it and I appreciated the characters and the references even to side characters and scenes that are in the movie, because it is in place of, I don't know if I feel the need to reread it. I think if I were to like choose between this and watching the movie, I would watch the movie. So it does put it kind of on neutral ground, which again, even though this is like my favorite to my least favorite, none of these are bad books. They're just, it's more of like, what am I most likely to reread versus what's going to just stay on the shelf. So I know we're like in this area. I mean, it's not a big surprise at this point because we've already got like our top, but I feel like you're sitting pretty. I can't even lift this. Yes, I can. I'm strong. Okay. This is the most tense part of the movie. Video. We're just trying to get the book stack to not fall on my face. But that is my official ranking for the 19 Twisted Tales that are released. There is an anthology. I read it. I enjoyed most of it. And there is a 20th book coming out today in Australia, and that is Be Prepared, which is a Lion King Twisted Tale. But if you are curious about how this ranking came to pass, I have a whole playlist of videos that you can check out my individual reviews on. I was smart and did that this time. So this is where we ranked now, right? I also have a list of how I ranked them in the initial video when there was just the first 10 books out. So I'm going to grab that list real quick and we're going to see in a comparison how these stacked up. So we're actually going to change screens here because I'm going to get these up on a screen and do like a side-by-side for you. So let's shimmy on out. Ooh. So now that I've got the picture of the original 10, but where they ended up in the current rankings, I just pulled the other ones off to the side for this. Let's look at how I ranked them in June. Oh my God, June of 2021. Number 10, we had Conceal, Don't Feel. Okay, very interesting, because I put Mirror, Mirror at the bottom this time. Then Mirror, Mirror is right there. Yep. And A Whole New World at number 8. So these three are still in my bottom 3 of these 10. Even though Jafar is a great villain, I just didn't vibe with the Jasmine and Aladdin. I'm just saying. 7, we had Reflection. And 6 was Once Upon a Dream. Really interesting. Okay. So Reflection came in at number 6 on the new ranking. And Once Upon a Dream, I bumped up to 4. So definitely worth rereading and not as an audiobook. 5, so this is Love. That still stayed in my number 5. Straight On Till Morning was 4 back then for me, but that did basically swap with that lower chunk there. And yeah, I agree with where I'm at, because we have our top 3 are Unbirthday in 3rd place, Part of Your World in 2nd, and As Old as Time in 1st. My feelings did not change on those 3 books, so it must be true. Were you guys surprised? Because I was legitimately a little bit surprised that like my top 3 did not change. And I had not looked at that for any spoilers. That was in like a separate hard drive I had to dig out. So, wow. Okay, cool. So if you want to know my top 3 recommendations for the Twisted Tales, those are them. And as I keep repeating, just because some of the books did not rank high in my ranking, it doesn't mean they were a bad book. It just means I didn't vibe with them, and I probably won't pick them up for a reread now that we have individual reviews out. And I don't have to tell you guys how I felt about them again. There are more Twisted Tales coming out, though. Like I said, there's another one coming out today, December 1st, in Australia, and that is the Be Prepared Lion King Twisted Tale. I needed it. Look, I have Lion King pins. I needed it, but it wasn't going to get to me before the end of the year, so there'll have to be another ranking again someday, sometime. However, I still highly recommend this series if you're into Disney, if you're into definitely cozy stories. Like, a few of them are dark, but they're all pretty enjoyable. And thank you guys again so much for watching. If you've watched all my reviews, wow. Hopefully you guys got something out of it, discovered some books you might like. I'll see you maybe in the live. If not, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks again. Have a great holiday, and I'll see you later. Bye.